Hi everyone, I'm Christine and I'm here for part 2 of the Baptist fans tutorial. In part 1, I really focused on how to actually mark the fans onto your quilt using this whistle stop as an example. But today I want to go through how to actually hand quilt the arcs of the Baptist fan, this time using this baby quilt as an example. I really think the Baptist fans motif is a really beautiful kind of finishing touch that you can add to your quilt. The tutorial is aimed at that kind of more experienced hand quilter that wants to try something a little bit different. I hope it helps.
In terms of supplies, I love using a size 7 embroidery needle. I really find they work very well with the 12-weight thread. I have a coin thimble that I love to use. And as I mentioned, I use a 12-weight thread. This one is by Orifil. I've got snips, and then I have the marking tool that I showed how to make in the first tutorial. These holes I've made 1 inch apart. They're closer together for this smaller baby quilt. I use a water-soluble marker in this tutorial to draw the arcs, and an empty mechanical pencil I just used to anchor the marking tool. I've found that starting in the bottom right-hand corner is actually easier for the right-handed quilter, so that's what I've done here. In this tutorial, I'm just going to pick up where I left off though, which is in the middle of the quilt. Just refer to the first tutorial for how to mark the Baptist fans, but I'm just going over it here. For this quilt, I decided to do 5 arcs for each fan. I'm going to start hand quilting at the top of the innermost arc and then alternate directions each time. This is because I have an odd number of arcs and I want to end at the bottom of the top arc. That allows me to be right next to the innermost section of my next fan. You can see I've ended my arc just where I wanted for the previous fan, and then I'm just going to slip my needle through the layers and lift it right at the top of that innermost arc, and I'll start hand quilting. I have my quilt on a table and I like to kind of pinch the layers. I've got my hand underneath and I can feel my stitches going through the layers. So I'm starting at the top like I mentioned and going downwards. When I get to that last stitch, I'm going to put my needle through the layers and lift it up at the beginning of the next arc. I'll be hand quilting in the opposite direction for the next arc, so I just like to spin the quilt around. Okay, so here I go again. I'll be quilting in the opposite direction. I've got my hands holding the quilt, holding the fabric just to kind of make sure it's not bunching and it's nice and smooth. Once again, as I get to the last stitch, I've just stuck my needle there through the layers and I'm pulling it up at the next arc. I'll rotate my quilt and go in the opposite direction once again. I've skipped ahead and now I'm at the second last arc. As I end it, my needle pulls up at the top of the 5th and final arc, which is exactly where I want it to be. When I end that last arc, I will end right at the bottom, right next to the next fan. Okay, and there you have it, a beautiful Baptist fan.